think there's people that just want him to be savage and a brute and like a smashy monster
yeah.
all the time, right? And so anytime when he's doing science or like looking like Mark Ruffalo with his little glasses in the diner, there's a group of people that hate that. Like, how are your feelings as far as like the last several iterations of Hulk in the MCU?
I love Smart Hulk, but to be fair, I want like every weird comics iteration of Hulk. Like I want to see him, you know, like at the diner, like posing for pictures and things like that. Listen, it's a big planet. There's room for multiple Hulks, guys.
Welcome back to the Break Room. I'm Zach Huddleston, thrilled to be here for a headline show on a Tuesday.
Ooh.
Possibly uploaded on a Wednesday. Maybe you watch it on a Thursday, guys. Who knows? It's nuts here. I'm thrilled to be joined on the panel today to discuss a lot of like juicy news with my good friend Gina Ippolito is here.
The juicier the better.
She's digging in. And then fresh off a flight, traveler extraordinaire, Jessica Clemons is here.
I'm here for the juice. Give me the juice.
The juice, the tea, the hot, sippable news, whatever, however you want to say it. We have a great show today. Oh, also, Brian, should we go ahead and do the headlines graphic? There it is. Okay.
Look at that.
Ooh, timely.
Okay. So let's start off with the latest news, okay? Maybe work backwards from there. So, according to very reliable scooper Nexus Point News, who has a great track record with being accurate around Marvel stuff, Bruce Banner / Hulk, and he did specify Mark Ruffalo. Okay. Will be appearing in Spider-Man Brand New Day. We have no other details beyond that, like what the plot will imply, but that Mark Ruffalo will be appearing in Brand New Day. We have to assume maybe as both Bruce and as Hulk, but maybe that's not worth assuming.
Yeah. Maybe it's just Bruce Banner, and he's like, I got your sandwich you ordered. I'm doing a little side hustle.
That'd be so annoying. He's the
Uber
pizza
Eats.
papa.
Yeah.
Well, and so he did. The one other detail he added is that it will be a more than a cameo, a somewhat substantial role in this film. Because my immediate thought was, is this like Charlie Cox in No Way Home, where he's like in one scene
Catches
just as
a brick.
like a...
Well, I'm a very good lawyer.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Bruce Banner does as well. Well, it's still Destin Daniel Cretton who did the last post-credit scene for Shang-Chi that incorporated Hulk. So there'll probably be a little bit teasing to that. I think Destin Daniel Cretton, like Ryan Coogler, wants to make sure their place in Marvel is still linear. So it's like, oh, if this person shows up here, it's because they showed up in the first Black Panther or the second or whatever. Destin Daniel Cretton's trying to keep that train going for Shang-Chi. He's like, let me bring back the people that were there for the wrist bracelets.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, like behind the scenes, Marvel, Disney has never said this, but there's been this long rumor that, you know, they got the rights were originally farmed out for Hulk movies to Universal, and they made the previous 2 solo Hulk movies. Disney got them back, but people have speculated that, like, Disney's still not allowed to make a Hulk solo movie.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not. That might be people just kind of reaching. But so that is kind of, though the Hulk is still obviously a huge character in the Marvel Universe, a fun character to have. So instead, they kind of farm him out. He'll show up in a She-Hulk. He'll show up in Thor movies. He'll now show up in a Spider-Man movie. Also, as part of Sony's deal with Marvel, part of the whole splitting it with Marvel is they get at least one MCU character. They get Tony Stark, obviously, in Homecoming. You know, we previously mentioned Daredevil in...
and they also got Doctor Strange.
No Way Home. Doctor Strange also in that, right? Yeah, it's a minimum of one, right? Happy Hogan might show up. There's all kinds of
there's all sorts of rules. That's why it's so weird when you have a Venom movie and Spider-Man doesn't show up, or no one else shows up, or you have Madam Web, but they can't say like Uncle Ben.
And they have the rights to these characters. They don't even have to get special permission. They just chose not to use it. But it is interesting. There's also like not necessarily a connection between these characters before this movie.
Yeah, they kind of avoid each other in the movies, even though they've done a lot of stuff in the comics. To be fair, I guess Spider-Man's touched every single person in the comics.
Yeah, it would like someone like Kingpin showing up in the Spider-Man universe would make perfect sense because they often face off. But yeah, like in the comics there aren't. I mean, there are some, but it's not like Spider-Man palling around with the Hulk.
Well, there's still the rumor that Mr. Negative is showing up, and Mr. Negative seems like that replacement for Kingpin in this movie. He'll be the one
kind
like
of a crime boss kind of figure.
Which Now I'm thinking about it, that does make sense with Bruce Banner because he can corrupt Bruce Banner and turn him into Hulk and just destroy everything.
Yeah.
Because he's always so limited. The what is it? The negative force, whatever energy he has that he can create, Mr. Negative, is always still not enough. He always gets his ass beat. So it's like, oh, eventually you're just gonna have to use someone else to fight your battles for you.
And that's a good crime boss figure. Even though Kingpin's a good fighter, he also has an army of goons to his bidding, right?
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of, like, this is kind of like the official scoop. There's been a lot of speculation around this. Like, some people saying Hulk will be the villain of the movie, which is especially wild because, like, the one, like, dominant theme around this film is, like, 50 different villains have been circulated as being in this movie. So, like, for it to then end up being the Hulk.
Again, if Mr. Negative controls him, he is the villain.
That's true. Yeah. They'll never make him a clear-cut villain. They wouldn't do that to Mark Ruffalo. They wouldn't do that.
No.
But in a thing where he's being controlled, I could see it.
That'd be fun.
And kind of like Ragnarok Act 1, you know, we get, that lets us get like our two heroes facing off.
Right,
they eventually made good, but like in the Gladiator arena, Thor has to fight Hulk, and that's kind of cool.
Is that annoying to have, and maybe annoying is not the right word, but lackluster, I guess, to see Hulk again play just like an autonomous, like just like a sentient version of himself, like a robot version of himself, because that's what he was in Thor Ragnarok. It was like, oh, the other Hulk, forget Bruce Banner, it's just me. And this would be kind of the same.
Okay, can I ask, there's been a lot of, I've appreciated the Ruffalo portrayal of Hulk, and like, I know like, you know, but there's been a lot of online, there's a really strangely passionate community that hates Smart Hulk.
Really?
Oh,
right?
interesting.
And like, and some of the variations, I'm not sure why, like, I think there's people that just want him to be savage and a brute and like a smashy monster all the time, right? And so anytime when he's doing science or like looking like Mark Ruffalo with his little glasses in the diner, there's a group of people that hate that. Like, how are your feelings as far as like the last several iterations of Hulk in the MCU?
I love Smart Hulk, but to be fair, I want like every weird comics iteration of Hulk. Like I want to see him, you know, like at the diner, like posing for pictures and things like that. I don't think it means we'll never get Savage Hulk beating people's asses again. I think there's room for, listen, it's a big planet. There's room for multiple Hulks, guys.
We get another Hulk that's just straight up a monster. Which I guess they kind of explored that in What If with Purple Happy Hogan.
Oh,
And I mean, I guess I didn't know about people not liking Smart Hulk that much.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I said, I was like, I love it when he's like coherent. But I guess this would be their vindication if they get mindless, crazy Hulk just smashing everything.
But didn't we just get like mindless, crazy Red Hulk smashing everything?
Yeah,
like,
that's why I'm like, where are we?
Like I don't want to give even too much credence because like literally you make any choice, there will be a loud contingent on Twitter that will hate that choice, and it's like we shouldn't let that keep us from making choices. The other thing is like, again, Bruce Banner, super genius scientist. Peter Parker, known to dabble in a little bit of genius science type stuff. Could this mainly be like a lab-based relationship?
I mean, I will say like one of my favorite things from the I know some people hate it when I talk about the animated series, but like when Spider-Man's mutation is like mutating out of control, he goes to Professor X, an expert on mutation, to be like, hey, what's my final form gonna look like? Am I gonna be a weird, hairy, like spider, like brainless spider thing? And so could they be using Bruce Banner as a stand-in for that? Like maybe he's having some issues and he's like, I need to like consult someone who's an expert on like when genes get all fucked up. And then they're like, hey, I know a guy. And you think it's going to be Professor X. Or maybe we get a little, you know, maybe we get a little mention of Professor X on there. But I do think like it would make sense if you're like, hey, there's something in my blood. My blood was infected by like a spider bite. And now there's something that's changing me into something else. It would make sense for someone to be like, hey, I know a guy that happened to. He turns into a Hulk, so it's not exactly the same. But like, why don't you talk to him?
It helps. It helps. After what we saw in Brave New World and The Leader, it's like, don't go to that guy. Go to this guy.
Yeah, you needed Angie's List for scientists in the MCU. This guy's got low ratings.
I love gene manipulation as the leader, Mr. Sinister.
There's a lot of guys you should not be going to.
This guy stole my DNA. And this guy offered me dry cookies.
I'm going to the dry cookies.
I just saw, you know, again, we're kind of just in the pure speculation territory, but like some people were saying, you know, No Way Home ends with like nobody knows who you are, Spider-Man, Peter Parker. But people were speculating, well, when that happened, was Hulk off-world on Sakaar hanging out with his
Yeah,
son?
Yeah, maybe, so maybe he's
And does the magic of Doctor Strange stop at the upper atmosphere? Like, and does it go out into space?
That's so
Yeah.
funny. That's so funny. He's like breaking the news to other people. He's just
yeah.
outing them.
Yeah, well, does he? And maybe that could be their connection. He comes back and he's like, "I know who you are." You know,
Yeah,
something like that.
maybe, yeah.
I don't know if this would be the case, and I think there's just so many different versions of Peter Parker we've seen with different mentors that I think I've been like, oh, I've seen my course. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm ready for him to start teaching other people, but there is a world in which I guess Bruce Banner's just teaching him.
Yeah.
He's like a teacher at like a community
I mean,
college
they are
where Peter
both
Parker's there.
geniuses,
Yes.
so it would make sense if they're
And like his most recent appearance in She-Hulk, right? He was this kind of mentor figure,
Yeah.
both not necessarily sciencey, but like, let me show you how to be a superhero. Now, obviously,
Right.
Peter's a pretty veteran superhero at this point, but maybe he needs some advice in other ways.
It's
right?
just him being like, let me tell you who I think Captain America hooked up with. And Spider-Man's like, why are you telling me this, sir?
He turns the board. It's just a bunch of strings.
Oh yeah.
Not to speak to that. No, I hope it does I hope that is the case. I do think like She-Hulk and Bruce Banner's Hulk together, he does have that similar trait to Peter Parker now, is like, hey, your powers are what made you ostracise yourself from everybody else, and maybe you're so alone you need someone to help you not be less alone. Maybe we'll get that like little heart to heart moment for these two.
Yeah.
Like their powers are what ruined their character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of interesting ground to cultivate there. And after Fantastic Four, this is the next
Yeah,
Marvel
this is the
movie
next
we're
one.
getting,
Yeah.
right?
Then it doesn't. Okay, wait. Now I'm getting into rumor rundown territory.
Oh.
But that's what we were talking about on rumor rundown. Me and Eric about how because everything shifted, Brand New Day didn't. So it doesn't feel like it's in any way linked to Secret Wars or.
That's a good point.
Doomsday.
It was
Yeah.
going to be coming between
Yeah.
the two Avengers movies. Now it will be before either of them.
Yeah, so it's proof that it's sort of more standalone.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
which I think
I don't
people
mind.
are excited
I don't mind.
about.
I don't mind.
Yeah,
I just,
also that's usually how those are. I mean, it wasn't like Charlie Cox didn't like die in that thing of like, and like very little that happens in Spider-Man affects the larger universe.
Yeah. But if he was to appear in Secret Wars or Doomsday, it depends
Yeah.
on where his movie takes place in.
Yes.
Because I think seeing him in Doomsday and then getting 6 months ago in Brand New Day would confuse me.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, oh.
Maybe there's even a chance, like in kind of Endgame of Infinity War, he's not really in Endgame until the very end, right?
Right.
Because he got
Oh, that's
snapped.
true, yeah.
So maybe he's not really in Doomsday. Maybe he gets a little cameo, but he's a heavier presence in
Yeah.
Secret Wars,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, 100.
Really excited. I mean, this film is like currently in production.
Right.
Or is about to start very soon, because again, it's coming out in almost exactly a year. So like, I think we're going to get more of this stuff confirmed.
Yeah.
Right? These are all still like in the scoopy, rumory zone, and maybe this could happen as soon as San Diego Comic-Con, maybe even sooner, right? Like Sony/Marvel is probably going to start to confirm some of this stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have a little bit of footage at Comic-Con.
Yeah. Well, whose is it technically Sony's presentation or Marvel's presentation?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
despite, I mean, Feige's a producer on all these films.
Yeah.
So he could mention it. But yeah, I mean, Sony doesn't typically have a huge presence in San Diego
Right,
Comic-Con,
right.
but it would be awesome if they did this year.
Yeah, I mean, they know
Because that could
people are excited
legitimately
about
be,
this.
I mean, that or Doomsday could either be the biggest movie next year, right?
Yeah,
of
easily,
all movies,
easily,
right?
yeah.
Okay, speaking of big things coming in our near future, we got our first official look at HBO's new Harry Potter trio. Oh, these sweet,
you're a
sweet
wizard,
looking
Harry.
kids.
Which one's Harry?
They're so
Middle.
Are you sure? That's the one on the right.
All right.
That red hair
What
on
if,
that
what if
one
when we
on the
see
right.
them next, like they would have dyed that kid's hair brown and they would have dyed the middle kid's hair red and they're like, fooled ya.
Guaranteed that boy on the right definitely auditioned for Harry for a minute and was like, I'll dye my hair, I'll do it, please. And then they were like, your better's wrong.
these sweet little kids. Arabella Stanton is going to be playing Hermione. Dominic McLaughlin will be playing Harry. That's a very appropriate,
name.
British sounding. And then Alistair Stout will be Ron. One of the most British names
baby.
you will hear.
Yeah, they cast some real British kids.
They straight up were like, oh, even in these promos, we gotta make sure you look like the miniature versions of the ones we saw 20 years ago.
yeah.
Like Hermione's hair is just as like
and she's got that big smile, you know.
And you know, we've already gotten some of the adult roles have been cast and that's been announced, but boy, it feels a little realer when they start casting the kids, doesn't it?
I mean, at this point, they've got all of the major cast, right? We've got our Dumbledore, we've got our Snape, we've got our McGonagall. Do we have McGonagall?
who's our twins?
Oh, that's a good
Those are
point.
twins.
Well, and I wonder now
That's a
if,
good point.
maybe it's less important to cast all of the younger actors, because presumably they'll all kind of be unknowns, right?
Right.
I feel like that's also still the hardest one. That's like the one that has auditions with 20 children all fighting for those roles.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
like Luna Lovegood, I'm sure people are like, I want to be her.
Yeah.
Right,
That is
right,
the role
right.
I
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
yeah.
So I understand showing the adults first and then letting it roll and
Yeah.
snowball. for
Listen,
the
make
children.
that little kid from adolescence Draco Malfoy.
do you think he auditioned?
He would be a good Draco Malfoy.
I'm sure he auditioned.
Bleach his little hair and have him be a little psychopath.
He has a knife.
Yeah.
Stabbing other
Nah.
kids. Oh no, that kid's crazy.
And again, this is, obviously we'll be going into production very soon because this show is coming out next year. We were kind of as part of our Last of Us season 2 conversation, we're like, what are the big HBO shows next year? This is the big
it.
HBO
Yeah,
show
this is the one.
next year, and presumably for many years after that.
Yeah.
Aren't they getting like a Game of Thrones pre?
Yes,
we think it got pushed back though.
it was going to come out this year. It's pushed back to next year.
Okay, yeah,
and then
yeah.
maybe
Couple
House of the
big
Dragon.
things.
I still think this is bigger
A
than
lot of
those, but-
big book of British smiles going on.
They're
next year.
certainly hoping that this
a lot
will
of
be
British shows.
one of the biggest shows in all of
Yeah.
TV dome,
We're waiting.
certainly. LA, can have crazy weather we get June gloom and, lots of rain sometimes in the winter, spring areas. And anytime there's crazy weather, it's always nice to have some Vessi shoes. They are waterproof sneakers, and that's what makes Vessi special. Having a pair of Vessis means you can still walk the dog, go get coffee, run into the office, do whatever else you need to without having to lug around a pair of backup shoes or some rain boots or any kind of other accoutrement. Your normal shoes are waterproof. Every pair of Vessis are lightweight, weatherproof, and durable enough that you can wear them every day without worrying about wearing them out. Lately, I've been rocking the weekend sneaker, though I wear it on weekdays, believe it or not. I got to check the terms of service and see if they're still applicable on a Tuesday. But there's zero compromise with a pair of Vessis. They're the best looking sneakers I own, and somehow the most functional ones too. Make every day a little easier. Visit vessi.com/breakroom. There it is on the screen. Now for 15% off your first order at checkout and start exploring with confidence. Thank you, Vessi. And speaking of big shows, we got our first look at the Eyes of Wakanda, just a couple still images from an Entertainment Weekly preview.
Cool.
So these are two characters. The one on the right is called the Lion, and I believe the one on the left is called Noni.
Yeah.
We don't know a lot about the plot or like the roles of all these characters, but the description of the show is follows the adventures of brave Wakandan warriors throughout history in a globe-trotting adventure. The heroes must carry out dangerous missions to retrieve vibranium artifacts from the enemies of Wakanda.
Cool.
And I've heard like
Looks cool.
some James Bond-esque references.
Oh, I love it.
It's a lot of the what are the war dogs? Like
Yeah.
they're kind of like, Secret Service spy agency. And apparently like covering a time period from like the Bronze Age up to like,
cool.
Closer to modern, but still not modern. This image is really close to the boat on your right. There's like 4 very different looking warriors that could be from like different places in the world or different kind of styles. It's very cool. And apparently like the show was pitched, the creator of the show, the animator who's kind of the driving force, pitched this show, I guess before the first Black Panther film was even released.
Oh yeah, because it was based off of like a book, or there was like a little book that isn't completely based off, but loosely could be tied to it, and that book came out a while ago.
Yeah.
Seems like we should start seeing more of this, though, right?
Yes.
If it's coming out soon, and no one really knows that much about it.
Look,
Yes.
it took them 24 days before the premiere of Ironheart to get that
Yes.
little trailer.
I think
That's
they're
true,
doing
that's
a
true.
much narrower window, and like I don't even know. Do we have a confirmed release date for this? Is it August? I
It
think
said
it's
August in that headline.
Yes,
and
so-
August is soon.
Yeah,
you
maybe
guys.
maybe starting soon. I mean, we haven't gotten a first trailer yet, but
Yeah.
I gotta say the description sounds really cool. I also like the showrunner went out of his way to say like this isn't just about like, oh, this is T'Challa's great great grandfather. Like not all the episodes will be even connected to characters we know. It's more
Yeah.
just about like this nation and kind of its identity and like what that does to its people and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that's a fun sandbox to play in.
Yeah.
And like, just, again, we don't have a lot, just those still images, but that's a cool animation style. Too.
Yeah,
It's different
it looks very
from the
cool.
other stuff we've seen.
Right, which I love when they do, because sometimes, you get, especially like certain networks get in the habit of like every single animated show looks the same. They're all done by the same animation studio, which like, listen, give animation people jobs. Like, I love it. But eventually you're like, wait, is that this show? No, it's this show. Is that like, they all sort of blur together.
That's me with Amazon's animation. I'm always like, oh, these all look exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, and now, What If being done, but X-Men 97, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and Eyes of Wakanda, we don't know that it'll have more seasons, but like, I do like, okay, all those shows have distinct styles from each other.
Yeah, and both great, all great. So yeah, the animation department of Marvel, in my opinion, has been killing it.
Yes. Yeah, and it seems like they're doubling down on animation going forward. That is,
right.
They're probably going to do a little less live action Marvel on Disney Plus and a little more
I think they're
animation.
aiming for like a consistent amount every year, like maybe like 2 big movies, 2 big live action shows, 2 big animated series.
Yes.
Brad Winderbaum is always chugging. I don't think that's the right word to use for it, but always like roo-roo-rhyme for the animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool too because like it's a way to do kind of like Elseworlds that makes sense, right? Like if I see an animated Tony Stark, he doesn't need to be the RDJ version of that. Whereas if I see a live action Tony Stark, it's a little different for a fan.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
That is not portrayed by the same person. So, anyways, we'll probably be getting new trailers, full trailers, whatever for that show, hopefully sometime soon. And then, just because we haven't had a chance to touch on it on the break room, last week's big news, Eric and Jessica have already covered this in some other content, but Doomsday and Secret Wars both getting pushed back 6 months each. Essentially, there were going to be 2 summer releases. Now they're going to be 2 winter releases. Cool. At least they're not delayed more than that.
Yeah. I mean, I think like people make a big deal about delays, and sometimes delays can mean like script problems or like like
heavy
CGI
reshoots.
problems or whatever. But it doesn't always need to be that. Sometimes it's just they look at their slate of where things are falling and they say like, hey, we don't have a big tent pole at the end of the year, and like sometimes it's a pure like numbers game. And so I don't think people should be taking this as like, oh no, this is gonna be bad. I think if anything, they probably want to make it look as good as possible. I don't think we have like a Blade situation on our hands where they're like, let's throw out this script and go with this script. Now we don't like this script. This script is if it's coming out next year, the script is already locked. At this point, I'd say the delays are probably due to them wanting to finesse the CGI.
And if you have that many people in your cast, they are going to make waves and ripple. Especially if one shoot day takes too long and you have to stagger the rest of them, and you already had Elizabeth Olsen for this day, and she already has something on Wednesday, it's gonna mess up. Also, when you got this large of a cast, someone's gonna get sick. Someone's gonna get
or break
sick.
a leg or whatever,
hurt
right?
themselves
and
in
need time to
stunts.
recuperate. And I also think like they're probably baking in, and this was all not only all big Marvel movies, but all big movies in general, right? They're going to need some significant reshoots. Just normal. That's just normal, right? And so it's like maybe to give you a little bit more time for there and to put the CGI on the reshoots. Yeah, ultimately, and people have talked about, we maybe associate Marvel movies with summer, and they've definitely had some big kind of like late winter, like February releases, like Brave New World. But like they used to always have Disney would have big Star Wars movies or Avatar movies now in the winter.
That's when kids are off school, that's when families are together and want to do like an event. So it's not like, we associate like summertime with like, oh yeah, summer blockbusters. But yeah, wintertime is also a big time. Like it can be a big time.
Traditionally, I mean, like nothing makes more money than these Avatar movies, and they almost always come out in December. Right?
I'm seeing them on Christmas Day with my family.
And so
exactly.
I mean, it is like, what do you want to go see with the uncles and the cousins or whatever? Like an Avengers movie? Sign me up. I mean, that was my experience with No Way Home. Right, like that came out around Christmas time, right? And it was like, let's go with the family,
multi-generational. Is my family, and the only thing we could agree on was that 2005 King Kong movie. It came out on Christmas.
I saw that one.
It was like all 12 of us going to the
Yes, I saw that with my dad for sure. Yeah,
we went to the theaters.
So again, and I think like overwhelmingly, like the response online was like, cool. Yeah, take your time. We'd rather have it be good. And also, it's only a 6-month delay. Like, it's still coming out in the same calendar year. That's fine.
Do you remember how long the Batman got delayed for? Did it get pushed a year?
And it got pushed Yeah, multiple times, both because like apparently the script wasn't ready, and then like Robert Pattinson had a kid and he didn't want to work on it.
Yeah. I mean, also like listen, like the industry itself is still recovering from like dual strikes, like unprecedented like dual strikes. And so a lot of actors had a backlog of things. So like you were saying, some of them might have already committed to other things and said like, ooh, crap, I had committed to do this movie. It got pushed back because of the strikes. Now I can't shoot on the same day that RDJ is shooting. Can we tweak the schedule? Like actor schedules are hard.
There's gonna be a whole lot of scenes with 8 actors in it, and they're all gonna be in 8 different rooms. You know what I mean? We did get, speaking of being in the same room, Brian, do we have the Bahrain Doomsday cast image? Another one of these things came out, so a bunch of the cast is currently in Bahrain, presumably to shoot something. So we can see that's Danny Ramirez on the far left, Winston Duke. I don't know who that bearded gentleman is. That presumably is maybe some Bahraini people there in the middle. I don't know if those are officials from the government or something like that. That's Anthony Mackie. That's the Atuma actor. I don't know his name.
Oh!
Hannah John Kamen next to him.
Yeah.
Who
She's
is the only one that decided to do complete nightwear.
Yeah, like everyone else is like super cash. Well, not super cash, but like she's just like, oh, where are we going? Okay, I'll throw something on.
And then Simu Liu, and then that is the Namorita actress there.
Okay.
And then of course Shuri, and then that is Namor.
That's nuts. I wonder if it's gonna start with him in Telecon and then just pull him out, or if those two are accompanying him. I would love for those two to show up.
Yes.
That'd be very
well,
cool.
and it is interesting, like, we saw like Simu and Winston Duke were also in the London kind of cast
that
photo that had RDJ and Chris Hemsworth and stuff like that. But a lot of these other actors were not in that photo.
No.
So like, yeah, does that hint at like maybe there's a beach scene that they're shooting in Bahrain, that involves some of these characters, but like maybe not all of them, end up in the other scene that was shooting in London.
Can you pull it back up again? Just as I thought. Most are POCs, so they're segregating themselves. They're segregating
It's true.
themselves.
It was
and they're all
mostly white
hanging out.
guys. It
They're
was
all
mostly
hanging
white
out.
guys.
We're missing the Fantastic Four. We're missing.
They were like, let's send the POCs to Bahrain. The white guys can go to England.
They can stay in England where the sun doesn't come out.
Simu, you're cool. You can come anywhere you want. Winston, you seem like a fun time. Yeah,
They became the unfriendly black hotties from Mean Girls. Go on. No, I'm joking.
One of our sponsors this week is HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. HelloFresh makes it easier to fit quick, home-cooked meals into your schedule every week by curating delicious recipes like pasta primavera, chicken Dijon, and pecan-crusted trout, as well as over 100 seasonal snacks, sides, and treats. HelloFresh has meal options to fit every lifestyle without compromising on taste, health, or homemade quality. Their ready-made meals offer chef-crafted, flavorful dishes that are ready in just 3 minutes. So you can dig in and get outside, get work done, or just have some me time. Get a bubble bath of brewing, you know what I mean? One of our favorites at the Breakroom is the Southwest-style chicken bowl. We're big old Southwest-style chicken bowl fans over here. The chicken is super moist, do you like that word? And flavorful, and has just the right amount of kick. It's seriously restaurant quality, but waiting for me at home and ready whenever I want it. Every HelloFresh meal uses high-quality ingredients, including seasonal fresh produce and proteins that travel from farm to your doorstep, plus flexible deliveries that you can pause or skip when you need. Feel great with meals that fit your spring schedule and make the season even more delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/breakroom10FM now to get 10 free meals with a free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. Thanks again to HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit, for sponsoring our show. Presumably that's not the entire cast. Maybe they were having an event or something like that, those people happen to show up, do a little photo op. Because obviously that's not, Hannah John Kamen's not in costume as Ghost,
But
in
it
her
is
blue
interesting
dress.
that like Hannah Ghost is there,
But
there's
not
no
the other
Florence,
Thunderbolts.
there's no one else.
Yeah.
So
Well, and that, it makes you wonder, like, is this going to be, again, Infinity War, Endgame kind of situation where it's like, well, you got Bucky and Groot and Rocket are a team, and then there's periods where it's Thor and some of the Guardians. Like, are we kind of gonna mix and match people?
I think they have to. I think like unusual pair-ups is one of the reasons that people love to see this.
I mean, M'Baku and Shang-Chi's kind of a fun pair.
They're perfect for each
That's
other.
pretty fun.
The first time you saw like Captain America interact with Spider-Man, he's like, "Where you from, kid?" Like everyone was like, "Oh my god." I love them. So like those sort of like new pair-ups that we haven't seen before, like we've already seen how Thunderbolts interacts with each other. Now let's see how like Ghost is hanging out with, freaking Namor.
Yeah. And that's the
Like,
funny
they're hanging
part
out.
is like half of them all know each other from Disasters except for Ghost. I think it was the Talakanil people, and then you got all of Wakanda. Wakanda is friends with Sam Wilson, and then Ghost is poor Ghost is just there being like,
they're like, who are you?
You guys are all fighting already.
It's also interesting. Obviously, Wakanda Forever ends on kind of finding a truce between the Wakandans and the Talokans, but like
not really though.
Yeah. Also, like, are they cool enough to like work together right now? Like,
that's the best part of the ending for Wakanda Forever is him being like, no, we're playing her. We're playing Shuri.
He was not happy that final scene. And also, like, I don't think, like, you could definitely read that scene as, like, Namorita and Namor are not necessarily on the same page.
They weren't.
His people were disappointed in him, right? So it's like, we don't even know that they'll be working together in this, right?
Talakanil, rise up. You don't need that leader. You don't need him.
Your badass is on your own.
It would be fun to sort of see them fighting, and then this bigger worldly threat forces them to, like, they're like, oh crap, we're just sort of like...
There's definitely a world where, like, there's a fight on the beach between Wakandans and Talakanils, and then Doom lands, and they're like, okay, we gotta stop fighting each other. This is the real baddie, right? Like,
and you know what would be the most fearful thing is to watch Doom pull off his wings.
I mean,
to pull off Namor's like wings and be like, see, you weren't really shit.
The other thing too is that if Doom is like at some point like recruiting for like Battle World, he wants people who are like fighting.
That's true.
Like he might go and be like, you two groups are fighting and you're both really good. I'm gonna just scoop you up in my
He's gonna take the Talakanil. He's gonna be like, these are warriors. All they need is water.
Also, you guys might know the comic book storylines better than me. It's been years and years since I read them, but like, wasn't there a Black Panther storyline where Doom did overtake Wakanda or flooded it or something? No, Namor flooded it, but Doom did fight in Wakanda at some point, right?
I think you're right, and I'm trying so hard to remember.
In that same era of like Ta-Nehisi Coates, like that same era that's been adapted to the two films, there was a big Doom arc. So like, there is a backstory that could be applied to this film potentially too. Yes.
Yeah. I can't remember either.
But whatever, I'm here for it, and I love seeing random combinations of MCU actors in different locations.
So funny. Also, all hot and sweaty in that.
Yes,
heat.
it looked so sweaty, like that room was not air conditioned.
And for some reason, Hannah, I think she's from like the UK, and she's not sweated in that. I'm like, girl,
she's probably got some tricks. She's got some little ice things.
Yeah, she's got ice in the veins.
Listen, you can buy them. You stick them. I got during the writer's strike. I was like, you can freeze them and put them under your boobs and stay cool all day.
What are they? Just like ice
They're
creams?
like little sticky things. You put them in the freezer, you stick them under your boobs, and then you're like, oh yeah, no one knows that I'm keeping my boobs cool.
I would melt them so You need a towel.
No, they're like a gel thing.
I'll Google it.
Are there crotch varieties?
Yeah, they have ball ice things.
No, that's gross. This was for the girls.
Okay, great. Did you think our conversation about the Doomsday Cast would get there? Maybe not. But I also want, and like, this stuff will come out on the Blu-ray release or like eventually when they're promoting the film, and they can't put it out now, but like, I want the BTS footage. I want these people having lunch. I want, you know what I mean? I want like which of these actors are becoming buddies and going off and doing fun stuff. Like,
it's the Olympics up in that.
Yeah.
It's the Olympics up in that.
I mean, they're all insanely attractive.
Yeah, I might.
Come on.
I might need the like Dumois like rundown of which of these actors are single, which of these actors are open-minded. You know what I mean?
Which ones have like already dated each other?
Yes.
Because I remember what's Bucky's name? What's
Sebastian Stan?
Sebastian Stan like is notorious for dating every.
Well, and Ryan Reynolds and Scarlett Johansson had a relationship.
Oh, that's right.
And I mean, Scarlett Johansson's not confirmed for this film, right? But like, and Ryan Reynolds is like rumored. But
Zoe Saldana and Bradley Cooper were able to be platonic on set of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
they dated for a long time.
Yeah.
They dated for a long time.
Oh, they were in that movie together.
Yeah, and I think that's where they met.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of co-stars end up like when Sebastian Stan was in Once Upon a Time. He dated Jennifer Morrison. And then like he went to like the next project.
Goodwin, Jennifer Goodwin.
No, there were two Jennifers on that show.
Oh.
The lead who was the woman on House. But then, like, he went to his next project, started dating that.
You know
like,
it's Sebastian
co-star.
Stan. You know Sebastian Stan is, he is trying to rizz up Ghost. He is trying to rizz up
Hell
Hannah
yeah,
John
dog.
Campbell. In the behind the scenes I've seen, he is making her laugh a little too hard. I'm like, girl, it ain't that funny.
I mean,
It ain't that funny.
that electricity between him and Geraldine Viswanathan
Oh
in that
yeah,
scene, it's
girl.
like,
She posted on her TikTok. She was like, "Oh, like I got scenes with Sebastian Stan," and I was like, "Girl, everyone's mad."
just the Riz in those rooms when all those actors are
Oh yeah,
there.
Lewis Pullman looking fine. Yeah, all of them, all of them.
Fun.
Sorry,
Fun
guys.
stuff.
Sorry,
Okay.
we're not doing
Speaking of hooking up, we got our first poster and look at Gen
we're
V
back.
season 2.
We're back.
It's been so long.
It's been
It feels
too
like it's
long.
been so
Was
long.
that 2 years ago? Was that 23?
It had to be 2 years.
It was
ago, right?
because
we had the boys.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah, so
They've been trying
They
to
go back and
alternate.
forth.
we have
Yeah.
since gotten a season of the boys.
Now
yes.
it is just new season coming soon, which is frustratingly
Right.
vague. We don't know what soon means, but we're thinking there's going to be a panel at CXP Mexico City, which is comic
Yeah.
con in Mexico that I believe is this upcoming weekend.
Well, there's a lot of news in the boys universe. They got the final season of the boys coming. They've got the first season of Vought Rising, which is the spin-off series that stars Soldier Boy and
The Nazi girl.
Yeah.
Oh, and is it like a throwback? It's like a
Yeah, it's
period
like Vought
piece.
at the
it's a
beginning.
period piece of like, oh, here's how it started. So they, and a lot of those writers jump from one show to the next.
And there was rumors for a while of the Boys Mexico spinoff. Is that still happening? We don't know.
I think that I know one of those shows got was sort of dead on arrival. I think they're focusing on Vought Rising. But yeah, a lot of times same producers. A lot of times Kripke is involved in all of them. So like it makes sense that sometimes it takes them a little while.
And again, in a world in which we often wait 3 years for HBO shows to come back, hey, if they're pumping, at least one of those out every summer, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And they're doing a great job of making sure they're always like, oh, this year you get Gen V, next year you get in the final season of the boys, and then the next year you'll get the other guy, and then we'll come back to Gen Z or Gen V. But before that, you also still get Invincible.
Right.
And so it's always like they're very Amazon Prime. I'll give them that. I'll give them that.
They figured out how to turn it around, yeah, for sure, and like maintaining the level of quality.
Yeah.
while doing that.
Well, the thing is, they
we're
know their
getting-
audience.
And like there was the surprise announcement. I don't know that this has been 100% confirmed, but maybe whatever panel in which they talk more about Gen V, they'll talk about this. There's the rumor that Fallout is going to come out by the end of this year.
Oh, I did hear
it's
that.
insane.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. They literally just tore down the set by me and Eric and John's house, and then it was immediately announced that they just finished wrapping.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that they said December?
Yeah,
They said
that's the rumor
December,
before
yeah.
the end of 25.
Goggins only got so much time. these
Literally,
days.
they were like, damn it, get him on the
In demand.
Yeah, he's on everything. He's like, I can commit to 2 days.
Yeah, he's like, you get 2 days with me, and I'm ripping off all of this makeup.
Yeah.
He literally is busy.
He's busy. And that makeup takes a long time.
Imagine.
He's gonna ruin that franchise by just leaving.
He's probably going to be like, hey, can we have like 7 episodes that are throwbacks to before I became, just me and my wife. Can we just be hanging out around the house and I don't need all this prosthetics? Okay, so there's a lot to be excited about. I was talking about, we just have a couple minutes here. There is potential. Now, often we overhype these things and then we end up inevitably getting disappointed. But like, there is potential. This San Diego Comic-Con, Jessica will be there in person with Eric and some other Rockstar staff. Could be the biggest ever. As far as like
or
news.
in a few years at least.
Well, as far as like things we will learn, things that will be unveiled, talked about, right?
Yeah.
Like you guys have already, talked about this in like some sneak peek and some other content, but like we don't know any of the Marvel lineup beyond these 2 Avengers movies. And, they're kind of gonna have to announce them sometime soon because like it's not that far out, like 2027 was gonna be here before we know it.
As someone who used to like work at Comic-Con for IMDb doing coverage, like it used to be a few years ago, it used to be a huge thing. And then the pandemic hit and it was like, okay, obviously there was no Comic-Con during the pandemic, and then it was slow. It's been slow to gather steam again. Like there's no really cool news or really cool footage that hasn't either already been spoiled by someone and then 1 year, some of them choose not to have that big a presence. And in a time when sort of it feels like the industry is contracting, you can see how studios would be like, well, we can save a shit ton of money by not sending a bunch of people
Yes.
to Comic-Con and having them do a panel.
It's
and
not
going
cheap
all
to
out.
get Florence Pugh out there
Yeah,
to fly her
it's
private, to get the
not.
makeup and the hair done and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you're putting people up and things like that. So like it makes sense that they were sort of scaling back. I think that this year it is the perfect year to be like, you know what, movies are back,
Wow,
baby. Like,
especially
let's do
because
this.
like regardless of what else they talk about, Marvel knows they've got the sauce now. They've got 2 Avengers movies to promote, right? And like that alone is huge news.
Yeah.
They're kind of shifting their focus from like a little less Disney Plus and a little bit more like we want people back in theaters for these big tent poles, right? Like it feels like Comic-Con and Kevin Feige and Hall H is a good opportunity to do that, to build that hype machine. I mean, you could argue in the last, and I want to kind of do a full episode where we just break down like the last 10 Comic-Cons, but like 22 is kind of a high water mark. That's when Kevin Feige came out with the 2 phases,
Right,
the crazy slate that now most of that has not played out, or has been moved around a lot. Last year is probably the other really big one in the last 5 or 6, because that was RDJ is Doom. That was the Fantastic Four footage and the Fantastic Car. What else was
But
the
other
big
than
stuff?
Marvel,
There's the
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts stuff.
And Brave New World, the entire cast of Brave New World.
That's
came out.
right.
But
I mean,
other
there's
than
a lot.
Marvel last year, there wasn't that much from other studios. So I think that they might want to put their money like I think that they want it back.
Yeah. I think what they could do, which they still have time to do this, but because there's also already rumors about another Thor movie, another Doctor Strange movie, and
A Wanda movie.
still waiting on Blade. I'm the only person that has hope still, but whatever. Sometimes you gotta put that hope into yourself, manifest it, and one day it'll show up, and I'll be like, I did this. But regardless, I'm like, you still got a little bit of time, but you could introduce a lot of the mutant saga that you guys have been talking about, and if you do the mutant saga with new cast, it's less expensive. It's less expensive. I will say, if you do put Patrick Schwarzenegger, though, I mean, that might be expensive. But if we see a completely new actress playing Jubilee, and people are just excited about the name. We're learning who the actress is, but we're excited to see who's playing.
Also,
Kitty
Patrick's
Pryde.
not as expensive as like Hugh Jackman or something.
I would
He's
hope
not
not.
movie star.
The legacy
I found
characters,
out the other day that he owns a pizza place, and I think it's Mod Pizza. Do you know Mod
Patrick
Pizza?
Schwarzenegger? Yeah.
He owns
Patrick
it.
Schwarzenegger?
I guess he does.
It was probably like a present for his dad.
He was like, I'm bored.
He was like,
Here you go.
I feel like we could.
birthday.
That's
We got you a
justification.
pizza chain.
That's justification for us to get some and eat it on the break room and
That's
deliver
too
a
expensive.
deliver a review. Yes,
I
and
think
so,
it's Mod Pizza. It's one of those weird ones that people chains.
And again, even if we get a very muted version of this from the Marvel panel, it could still be great. Even if they just kind of bring
He's
out,
the Papa of Papa John's. He's the new Papa John's.
or he's the pizza papa. He always gets paid.
Pizza Papa.
But like things we could get this year, just the Marvel panel. I think like we could definitely get a DC panel. They have not been a big presence the last couple of years.
That's the thing, is they sort of have given up on
And James
it.
Gunn's kind of preferred lately just to do like a direct address to camera.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I want to see all the studios come back out and be like, boom!
The thing is, I can see James Gunn not doing it because he does like to just be as close to his audience
wants
as
to control
possible. He's like,
everything.
I will go on the podcast, but he still give us the Batman, give us the Penguin,
Right,
do the other
right.
DC things
You
aren't
might
DC.
know too that like even if I do some Supergirl stuff, if I do the Batman 2, if I do like announce a new project, I still might only be the second best panel that week.
And he does not want to.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be
That's-
second place.
that's
Whereas
true,
he
but-
could put out a video 2 weeks later that's just him and like dominate all the news. But just the Marvel panel, as Jessica pointed out, we could get confirmation on when we're getting our first mutant film, right? Like some people have speculated it could come between. It could be that summer 27 before
Right.
Secret Wars, or maybe it's immediately after Secret Wars, the following kind of winter. So that, I mean, these other movies like another Thor, another Doctor Strange, a Wanda solo movie, like, I mean, even like Shang-Chi 2, there's a lot of things that people have talked about.
You got Destin Daniel Cretton already there, just like behind the scenes. You might as well just have him come out and also talk about Shang-Chi too.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Easy said.
do they announce other completely unexpected projects, which is, I mean, nobody was expecting a Thunderbolts film to
true,
be
that's
announced
true.
when that got announced. Hopefully there's like something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
a wild card. They usually like to keep a little wild card in there.
Is it gonna be like Blade?
Blade. I mean, if they
Look,
the hard part about a Blade announcement is like nobody's gonna believe them. You know what I mean? If they come out and they slate it, we're all gonna be like, we'll believe it when we see it.
What if it's Mahershala coming out again? He
They
comes
should
out again.
have him come out and then put on a different hat as a different character.
Here's how the Blade movie comes out.
Professor Xavier.
The Blade movie doesn't come out until like literally they walk on stage at Hall H. They're like, the movie's done, we're screening it right now. You know, that's the only way that people will believe that it exists. Because it'll feel like the studio who cried wolf.
They have Mahershala on stage, and then like Wesley Snipes comes out,
Also-
slices him in half with a sword, and then just keeps running.
I hate
feel
to
like
say
I'd
it, but by
cry.
the time we get Blade, it's going to be Mahershala Ali Jr.
No,
Blade.
it's okay. We're gonna be fine. It's Dames and Idris or whatever. Oh God, they're gonna you guys. It's okay. I'm holding.
No, we're all rooting for it. And like, you know, they kind of say both ways. They're kind of like, oh, we're focusing on quality over quantity. So like, we may not get a lot of years with 3 Marvel theatrical releases, but certainly 2 feels like a good, healthy number to aim for.
Yeah.
And like, we really only have 1 next year if you're not counting Spider-Man. And the following year, there's only 1 slated so far with Doomsday. So like, there's a couple to be filled in, and then anything after 27 obviously is completely wide open.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. I will say the counterpoint to all of this, there is a world in which there are some big resets, universe-changing things that happen in either Doomsday or Secret Wars, and that might, you know, then we get Iron Man 1 in 2028 or something like that, the Ironer Man or something, you know, and they may not want to tease that, and so like we could get all the way up until, you know, that might not be till Comic-Con 26 that they maybe feel comfortable saying those future properties. I'm not rooting for that. I want crazy shit to happen at this year's Comic-Con.
Same. Yeah.
But throw in the comments, what would be like the wild card, the like exciting, what would be the equivalent of RDJ walking out there as Doom, blowing people's minds?
Okay, this is not, I don't know if this is the same. Just for me, maybe this will get my socks off. Is if Bryan Cranston comes out as Xavier, and then we see a bunch of the kids for the school, and we know that the next mutant thing is going to be the Xavier school.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we see the kids in their little
I
freaking
mean,
uniforms.
And maybe they have to announce, like, yeah, we have to go ahead and announce this because they're going to be in Doomsday.
Yeah.
You know what I
If
mean?
Bryan Cranston comes out as Xavier and says, "To me, my X-Men," and then from every like orifice of this Hall H,
they're just sitting in the.
they just all stand up and walk up, and you're like, "Oh!"
I would scream. See,
Like they lower Storm onto the
Yes.
stage.
The kid from Adolescence
Come
comes
on.
out.
And
I'm your Cyclops.
Screaming for him.
Yeah.
See,
I'm your Cyclops.
he's Bobby Drake. Come on.
I mean, the theatricality of that RDJ reveal was incredible. I mean, Marvel's done that before with the whole like Wakanda Forever, like the music and that kind of procession. The Fantastic Car. I mean, they go nuts with their production values.
Yeah. I do think X-Men is like the like that's the easiest way to get the people the most hype right now. Like I don't think you're gonna get that if you're introducing a totally new property or something.
Yeah.
Like Thunderbolts wasn't really getting anyone hype, but like if you're like, here are our new X-Men, and they each do a little, you know, their little catchfitch or the little like
that is
your
gonna.
Cyclops,
You're absolutely right. That's gonna beat out a Nova movie,
right?
Or whatever, you know, some new character.
Exactly. It's what people have been waiting for so many years, and yeah, just to see someone be like, yeah, I am your Jean Grey, and like
It's giving a little Eternals when Eternals they all came lined up with their character behind them, but I want that exact thing
Yeah,
with
for
the comic
X-Men.
character for the X-Men. I want to see this little girl come out, and then it's like Dazzler's behind her, and I'm like, oh, we're getting Dazzler.
Now, I mean, is it also going to be a little bit of this Harry Potter casting, or going to be like these poor kids?
They can't be young. No, they can't be.
They won't be that age. They'll be older.
They gotta be like
They'll be
18,
older.
19.
Because also we
I
need
think,
them to be hooking up. We need some sexual tension, and so you got
I
to
think
age
they'll
up.
be in their 20s. I think they'll be in their 20s.
I want a sexy X-Men. I want
Yeah.
Sexy 20s.
Listen, there was always some sort of love triangle going on
Yes.
X-Men, and I think Cranston he's not, I can't remember how old Patrick Stewart was for like the first few years of me, but Cranston is still sort of a young, if you watch the studio, limber as hell.
I know, he's doing pratfalls.
Those falls he's doing.
Oh man, I was like actually concerned for him at one point.
And it will be interesting because like if they do that, right, like this San Diego Comic-Con, we know that like the following December, or you know, 2 Decembers from now, we'll be seeing Kelsey Grammer's Beast, we'll be seeing Alan Cummings' Nightcrawler, like all these like legacy characters. So like, would you want to also come out like this 22-year-old Beast and 22-year-old Mystique and 25-year-old?
Well, they'll still look the same as opposed to those kids from Harry Potter, which kind of crazy to get those kids for Harry Potter. Those kids are going to age up so quick by the next
they
season.
are.
They're going to age up so quick by the next season.
I know. Well, and
full faith in their
if it goes like
timeline.
5 seasons,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That kid's going to be 42.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they'll do, like Eric suggested, they recast them as it.
You think?
Oh, that's like House of the Dragon.
Yeah,
It worked for that.
I mean, it worked for House of the Dragon.
Damn.
You know, like who knows? You can't, because those kids looked like they were like
Well,
what, like 12, 13.
Also, the original Harry Potter franchise was so lucky that you can't. I mean, what makes for a good child actor does not always. Those people don't always become good adult actors.
Well, the other thing is that they shot
Some didn't.
they shot one a year. They did such an
Yes.
insane pace, and they originally wanted the same director for each one. And after the second one, Christopher Columbus was like, "I haven't seen my kids in 4 years.
yeah.
I need to leave." And
Christopher
like
Columbus was in the movie?
Christopher Columbus.
and same with Quaron, couldn't do like
Right,
back-to-back
that's why they got
ones.
like
Yes.
everyone to commit for pretty much one until like the last couple.
I mean, but we'll see how the show goes because it's
Yeah.
even harder to do
That's what I'm saying.
a 10-episode season
I don't
or
think
something.
that they can keep pace with like one a year like they did. Which, by the way, that's crazy that they shot one like huge blockbuster a year and released it every year, and now a TV show can't do that.
Hey, I mean, Twilight used to do the same thing.
That's true.
With half the budget and
And it showed. Sometimes it showed. It showed.
with half the quality.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some of the worst CGI that's ever been committed to
Hey,
screen.
you said you want sexual attention. Let me show you this
There
great
it
flick I
is.
got.
That's the special effect in those movies. Yeah.
I mean that and the weird zombie baby that's
Yes.
She was perfect
maybe
in
also-
a animatronic
You
way.
know, Twilight being so successful, and I know a lot of time has passed since those movies came out, but Twilight being so successful, and still being the people that love Twilight then still love that series. Like, it almost makes you wonder, like, are we caring a little too much about the quality of the CGI now? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
it didn't
entire
really
film-
matter. Nobody was complaining about it in that movie.
And it was
I
complete.
think
If you go back and
everyone
watch
was
it,
complaining about it. Listen,
they weren't.
No, I wrote.
But the people that loved those movies did not care.
I don't know. Here's the thing. I wrote all the honest trailers for the Twilight movies, and I remember it was like we did them very close to when they were released because everyone was like, "Oh, this baby is insane looking. We have to do an honest trailer just to get to this freaky baby scene."
I don't know why they didn't use an actual baby for that scene, and also why they had Jacob imprint on it. But
I want that baby to be my wife.
Stop,
That baby's
Gina.
gonna be my wife.
When I was a kid watching it, I was like, "Ooh, it's dark and purplish blue." The entire it was like on a lens. I don't know what they were doing. Stephanie Meyer was crazy as hell.
Yeah, the books are not good, and the books, as someone who read all the
I
books to
love
write
them.
all those honest trailers.
All I know is
Books are not good.
I never read the books, and I've only seen like parts of the movies. But anytime I walk in the room, and my wife is watching one of the Twilight movies. I just catch like 5 minutes of it. I'm always like, "What is this garbage?"
No,
and
you
she's
don't
always
understand.
like, "Get out of here."
You
know
don't
what I
understand.
mean? That's what she says. She says, "You don't get it. Get out of here."
It's not for you. It's for
That's
me.
right. I mean, and honestly,
it's a good way to shut your brain off and just be like,
I feel the same way about the Hunger Games. I don't really get those movies, and those movies seem kind of like weird and like cheap to me. And she's like, "Yeah, this ain't for you. Get out of here." Right? Like,
You're
yeah.
crazy. You've never been a teenage girl.
Those books are better.
That's it.
the books
That's
are
it.
great.
But like, yeah. So, anyways, what a long way of. We go on some fun journeys.
Anyway, this is what we're gonna see at Comic-Con, a reboot of the Twilight series.
And it's me and no one else in that audience. I can
I
guarantee
know.
you.
I mean, they've already rebooted Hunger Games.
I know. I do think they're due for.
They're gonna
for a
do
Twilight
it. You
series.
think it's not being
Hunger
pitched right
Games
now?
makes sense though because the books were good. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
books
yeah.
were. I read all the Twilight. I
Yeah.
love them. You guys, I used to go to Barnes and Nobles at midnight to go get that book release. Like that was the only thing I did going through puberty because I was a sicko.
I was obviously like a little older when I read them, but I was like, oh, this is the most sexually repressed Mormon woman I've ever read a vampire series.
I mean,
from.
also-
He couldn't sleep with her because he could kill her.
Also,
You don't understand.
And then they have sex once and she gets pregnant. And she,
Pacific
even though
North-
it's gonna kill her, she doesn't have
Pacific
an abortion.
Northwest horny vampires. I mean, that's so right in your target.
And it's
Jessica.
literally for me. Other than, and I heard your guys' conversation about The Last of Us. Look, we don't got a lot of Seattle properties right now that people like.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest. My mom called me. My mom's watching Last of Us. She goes, "It wouldn't be that quick to get to the other side of Seattle. Who's doing the research?" I said, "Mom, Jesus Christ!" I was like, "Don't be one of those people."
But now, if you remove the traffic, is it just that there's a distance or like?
You remove it,
But
yeah.
also, you know, I gotta
As the
say,
crow flies,
in your
or-
mom's defense, though, it's not like those streets are just cleared out. You're having to work your way
Yeah,
around
yeah,
crashed
that's
cars
true,
and like
that's true.
collapsed buildings. It is not. You can't just jog.
They
through
should
it
start
either.
building zip lines. I saw this video online about like people in,
Urban
in
zip
the-
lines, kinda?
Yeah, like
sounds dangerous.
about people like zip lining to work so that they don't have to walk.
Gina, no.
It's not
That's
in the
insane.
U.S. It's
Gina,
not in the
no.
U.S. I'm just saying, in case of a zombie apocalypse, build a zip line. You can zip line over all those zombies.
I want gondolas. gondolas. Okay, they've been talking about doing a gondola to Dodger Stadium for a really long time.
You guys, they're already making the Uber taxis in the
I know.
air
It's
for
gonna
the
be all-
Olympics. We're gonna be fine.
Yes, everybody will be in a Waymo.
Zipline. Nobody wants a zipline. What if the zipline just rips and a bunch of people just fall off of it?
That's
Well,
a
that
great
is a risk you take. Just like
sorry.
every time you get in a car, you might crash.
It's true. But usually, like crashing your car, you don't then fall 12 feet to your death. Small price to pay for ziplining to work? Maybe.
I'm crying.
Throw in the comments. Where would you zipline to if you could zipline to anywhere? Okay, I think that's it for today. We covered a lot of ground. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Gina, for a spirited conversation. That's it for today. Be sure to follow the Breakroom on all the social platforms. If you've made it this far in the video and you haven't subscried, I don't know why.
What are you
haven't.
doing?
Maybe you're on a different account than you normally watch us on. Just a reminder, subscribe. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, on video on demand, know that we stream now live on YouTube and on Twitch this show pretty frequently. Check back in later this week. We'll have another stream probably on Friday. We don't know, topic TBD. There'll probably be some news this week that we'll want to react to. Other than that, anything else?
Last of Us.
Last of Us.
Last of Us. Last of me watching it.
Last-
No, I'm joking.
Last of
I'm
it.
playing with you. Last of it.
Also, Jessica's Sinners Breakdown about to cross 1 million views any minute now. And Sinners still crushing it at the box office. People still
Yes,
watching the
you
hell out
can
of that
still
movie.
go see it.
I'm excited. It's hard for me to get to a movie theater, but it's about to be on premium video on demand in like a week.
I'm not surprised. It's been out. It's crazy that we had to put it back in theaters. It's been out for a minute.
Yeah.
So it's due for its digital
But you can
release.
still see it. It's still in theater. I would
Yes.
say go see it.
I saw it on the 21st. That was my fourth time.
I was gonna say you saw it like 3 or 4 times.
It's an easy movie to go rewatch, especially when you know all the points that are happening. It's like
you make up for the fact that Zach can't get to the movies.
No, I don't see any
And then I
movies.
go call Zach and I go, hey Zach, okay, so this is the moment where they're dancing. The house on fire.
Or just, actually, I'm gonna watch it in my living room, but I'll have like Jessica on FaceTime and she can like scream at the appropriate moments and I'll feel like I'm in the theatrical experience.
Your wife will be in the next room watching Twilight. She'll be like, shut up, shut up.
They're about to
This
kiss.
is a good party's about to sparkle.
If you like Twilight, you like Sinners. That's all I gotta say.
It's not a good endorsement for me, but okay. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye.